Guys, today is a great day to be a mathematician. You get to learn about radical equations and problem solving. And these kind of look like word problems, but they're really not. They're more of just a can you apply a formula type problem. So it's really not too bad. Don't get too freaked out. They're not too difficult. But if you do need help, just reach out to me. I'll be glad to show you what to do. So the first type of problem that you're going to see is on the Pythagorean theorem. If you don't know the Pythagorean theorem, it is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a and b have to be the legs of the right triangle, so that's the two sides that make the right angle, and c has to be the hypotenuse, which is the longest side. It's the one across from the right angle. So when you set up the Pythagorean theorem, the longest one always has to be by itself. The two shorter ones are together. So the two legs are together. The hypotenuse is over there on the right side of the equation by itself. So here's how you'll do, and this is the reason why these are in this chapter is because a lot of the answers are going to be represented with radical answers that you'll just simplify. So it's really not much of radicals and just more of applying a formula. So let's see the first example. Find the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle whose legs are 6 inches and 8 inches long. So we'll start with that Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b are the two legs. Now I could put 6 here for a or b. It doesn't really matter because, again, addition is not multiplied or whatever you guys used to say. It's commutative, right? Equals c squared. That's the one we're trying to find. So nice and easy. We square both of these numbers. So 36 and 64 equals c squared. Add those together, and 100 equals c squared. We've got our squared term isolated, so we'll square root both sides. They are opposites, so it looks like my hypotenuse comes out to be even 10. Let's look at this next one. This one's not going to come out to be so even. It asks us to round our answer to two decimal places. We'll also give the radical answer as well. So it says find the length of a leg of a right triangle with the other leg that's 2 meters and the hypotenuse is 5 meters. Round to two decimal places. So again, start with that Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b are the two legs. I'm missing one of them, so I'm going to keep a as a. If you wanted to keep b as b, you could. And then I'll make the other one 2, and then the hypotenuse is 5. So we'd square those two numbers, so we've got a squared plus 4 equals 25. Subtract 4, and a squared equals 21. To get rid of that square, we square root both sides of the equation. It looks like a comes out to be the square root of 21, which doesn't simplify further. So if they ask you for it in radical form, that would be it. But they do ask us to round this to two decimal places, so all we have to do now is just type that into our calculator really quick, round it to two decimal places. Looks like it's approximately 4.58. So there's some Pythagorean theorem problems. Another type of Pythagorean theorem problem will be this. They'll give you three sides of a triangle. We want to know, is that a right triangle? So we want to know, does that satisfy the Pythagorean theorem? So we always remember the longest one has to be C. The two shorter ones are A and B. So we want to know, is 5 squared plus 12 squared, does it equal, so we put the question mark, does it equal 13 squared? So we'll just do the math here, do the math there, see if the numbers match or not. So that's going to be 25 and 144. Add those together, and you've got 169. And then 13 squared is also 169. So since these match, yeah, it would be a right triangle. So you're just checking, do these numbers match or not? Let's look at number 4. Again, the long one has to be C. The two shorter ones are the A and B. So it's going to be 3.1 squared plus 4.1 squared. We want to know, does that equal 5.1 squared? So we're putting that question mark above the equal sign. I got to pull out my calculator for this one. I don't know what 3.1 squared is. It's 9.61. And I don't know what 4.1 squared is. It's 16.81. I also don't know what 5.1 squared is. 26.01. Okay, Now I just got to do that little bit more math, but I'm looking at it and it's not going to quite make it because it's got to end in 0.01. Those aren't going to end in 0.01. But let's see what it does come out to be. 9.61 plus 16.81 comes out to be 26.42. So close, yet so far doesn't quite match. So no, that would not be a right triangle. So not too difficult stuff there. The next one is the distance formula. This finds the distance between two coordinates on a coordinate plane. It looks difficult, but I promise you it's not. It's in here again because it has a radical in the formula. So it's very easy to apply. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to label your points x1, y1, x2, and y2. And just remember that the ones have to be together and the twos have to be together. So I could have named this point x1 and y1 and that point x2 and y2. It doesn't matter. Just x1 and y1 have to be together and x2 and y2 have to be together. And then all I have to do now is just plug it into the formula. It's not difficult. So it says x2, which is labeled as -3, minus x1, which is labeled as -1. So minus -1 really makes +1, and that quantity gets squared. And then plus, parenthesis, y2, which is -5, minus y1, which is 9, quantity squared as well. There's a little bit of math in there. -3 plus 1 is -2. Keep that in parentheses because remember that's going to end up being positive. Plus, that's -14 squared. Again, keep that in parentheses. It's going to be positive. -2 squared comes out to be +4. -14 squared comes out to be +196. Put those together, and I've got the square root of 200. Now we just got to simplify that radical. So what perfect square divides 200? Clearly 100, right? So it is the same as the square root of 100 times the square root of 2, which is 10 square roots of 2. So there it is in simplest radical form. But maybe they ask us, what is the actual, what is the distance rounded to 2 decimal places? Because I don't even really know. What is 10 square roots of 2? I don't know how far away that is. So we just type in 10 square roots of 2. Sorry, it's a little dark in here today. So rounded to 2 decimal places, it'd be about 14.14 units away, whatever you're talking about, maybe inches or miles or leagues. I don't know. Let's look at 2. Maybe you try this one by yourself, maybe not. I don't care. Start by labeling your points. x1, y1, x2, y2. And then all I got to do is plug them into that simple formula. Square root of x2, which is -4, minus x1 is -2. So minus -2 makes +2 quantity squared. Plus y2, which is -7, minus y1, which is 5 quantity squared. Do the math, and you've got -2 squared, and you've got -12 squared. So that would be 4 and 144. Put those together, you've got the square root of 148. So is there a perfect square that divides 148? I am not sure. Let's try 16, maybe 16. Oh, I said times. 148 divided by 16. Not quite. 148 divided by 9. No. 148 divided by not 25, maybe 36. No. 148 divided by not 49, but I'll just type it in anyway. Looking like, oh, maybe, no, not 64. That would be 128. I don't think it simplifies any further. Might check. I don't want to make this video too long of just me checking numbers. So I think 148 is the simplified radical. If they asked it for you in decimal form, just type that in, round it to whatever it tells you to. I'm going to go 2 decimal places to 12.17 because that 5 next to the 6 would round it up, not equals, but approximately. All right, so there's the distance formula. Let's look what we have on the back. On the back, we've got the midpoint formula. Midpoint has nothing to do with radicals, but we like to throw it in there because it goes well with the distance formula. You typically do some of those at the same time. So the midpoint formula, very easy. Add your x values together, divide them by 2, add the y values together, divided by 2. It's the midpoint because it's finding the average of the x's and the average of the y's. So again, you might start by labeling your points, x2 or x1, y1, and x2, y2. And then you just got to plug it in. So it's going to be negative 3 plus 1 divided by 2, comma, negative 3 plus 0 divided by 2. Do the math. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And negative 3 plus 0 is negative 3 divided by 2 is negative 1.5 or negative 3 halves, whatever you want to keep it as. There's the midpoint. Very easy formula. You add the x values, so 5 plus 8 divided by 2. You add the y values, so negative 2 plus negative 6 divided by 2. Add them together and you've got 13 over 2, and you've got negative 8 over 2. That's going to be 6.5 comma negative 4 for a midpoint. Don't forget those parentheses around your coordinates. The last type of problem you're going to see is they're going to give you some formula. They're going to give you a whole bunch of information about that formula. It really doesn't matter. You just got to know what the letters represent. They're going to tell you that, and they're going to tell you something else. So you just use the formula, plug in the numbers, and find the one that's missing. So let's just read this one real quick. A formula used to determine velocity, v, so velocity is v, in feet per second of an object, neglecting air resistance, of course, after it has fallen a certain height is v equals the square root of 2gh, where g is the acceleration due to gravity and h is the height the object has fallen. On Earth, the acceleration g due to gravity is approximately 32 feet per second. Find the velocity of a person bungee jumping after falling 5 feet. So some dude's just started bungee jumping. He's only fallen 5 feet. How fast is that dude going? So we're going to use our formula. V equals the square root of 2gh. And if we remembered, they told us what g was, and they told us what h was. We just got to plug it in. So it's going to be 2 times 32 times 5. I looked 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 32 is 320. So this is velocity, so we're not going to care what the radical is. We want to know what it is in, like, feet per second. How fast is this dude falling? So we want to do the square root of 320. Looks like he's going about 17.8 feet per second right now. Approximately 17.9, I guess, feet per second. So that's pretty fast. You try traveling 18 feet in 1 second. See if you can do it. Let's see how fast he's going instead of after just 12 feet. So 7 more feet down. How fast is he going now? So same formula. Gravity's still the same. It's still 32. But now he's 12 feet fallen 12 feet. So let's see. What's 24 times 32? 768. So we got to find the square root of 768. Okay, I put 2 equal signs there. My bad. Square root of 768. He's now traveling 27.7 feet per second. Even faster. And I bet if you went down to like 100 feet, he would be going crazy fast. You want to see how fast he would be traveling at 100 feet? Let's see it. 100 feet. 2gh. 2, 32, 100. Let's see. 200 times 32. Square root of that. He's now traveling 80 feet per second. That's crazy fast. And he's only getting faster. Well, there it is. Simple stuff today. Let me know if you need any help, though. Reach out to me. Do what you need to do to make yourself a smarter, brighter, young individual. Talk to you later. Bye.